So my name is Kol Peterson. I live in an ADU in Northeast Portland, and I helped organize the ride today. Part of Petapalooza was an ADU bike ride, bike tour. So we checked out 3 ADUs on the inside and drove by or rode by a couple other ADUs. And I'm not really part of any organization, but I on the outside of my 9 to 5, I would call myself an ADU advocate. So there was a few of us ADU advocates today leading the ride, and it looked like about 100 people or so on the ride, all people who are homeowners or want-to-be homeowners that are interested in building ADUs. And so the intent of today's tour was to give people an exposure to several different kinds of ADUs that are in and around Portland, and teach them about some of the rules and regulations that apply to them. And what's great about it is, well, there's a lot of the great things about it, but in my situation, I'm living in the ADU and renting out the house. So not only am I not paying mortgage, because that's covered by the rental income, but it's actually I'm getting more rental income than I need for the mortgage. So the whole thing is going to pay itself back in 4 years. So in 4 years, the entire ADU will be paid for by the rental income, and then everything after that is just gravy. So a lot of people are building ADUs and living in the houses and renting out the ADUs, or they have family members living in the ADUs, or some kind of iteration of that. In my case, it's very much a financially driven kind of decision, and it's working out really well. And I'm living in a really nice place that has everything I've ever wanted in a house, because I got to design it from scratch. And so every situation's different, but it's worked out really well for me, both at a personal level and a policy level, in terms of my interests of building more kind of infill housing, but also financially it's been a great thing.
Saving Green is a 4-unit community that I developed after finishing a little co-housing community where I lived. Came on the market as a single-family house, and behind it a detached garage. We split the lot in half, and the garage was converted to an accessory dwelling unit that's fully accessible. And then on the vacant part of the property, we built this new single-family home, and behind it an accessory dwelling unit on a 20 by 20 footprint, so very, very small, with a little circular stair in the middle. Over the years, there are kids born there, couples come together, and it's really been a nice community where they share meals I think twice a week. It's an example of living in a very small space for those in the detached accessory dwelling units, but also having shared common spaces that they can enjoy, like the central courtyard and the guest house made of cob that was built by residents as part of the village building convergence. For the Ruth's Cottages project, I was on the lookout for a house that had a big side yard, so we could build some detached bedrooms that would function like independent homes, but appeal to people who wanted to live in a group house setting with a little more autonomy. And found this cute little house that our grandma was selling before she moved on, and purchased it. And to the side of it built these 2 12 by 14 foot structures, each one with its own full bathroom and a little outside sink that could be used by them for a little kitchenette if they wanted to, but the expectation is that they would use the kitchen in the main house. And it's been a wonderful situation with the sort of revolving group house. One person moved there as a single person, and ended up getting married and had 1 baby and then 2, and they moved from the little detached dwelling to the main house during that process. And it's really appealed to folks who love the garden, because we kept the whole front yard as garden, and want to live in a community with a level of autonomy they wouldn't get in a group house where they're sharing walls with their neighbors.
My name's Bruce Nelson, and I live in Northeast Portland, and this is our home. We've been here since 1978.
And I'm Carolyn Matthews, and I go with him.
So the house, the accessory dwelling unit was built in 2006. Excuse me. The reason it replaced an old garage that had a dirt floor and old wood siding, and was used just for storage. And we wanted to have a building here that would potentially allow us income, as well as potentially allow us options for our own living as we continue to age. We wanted to be able to stay on our property that we put so much work into over the years. Yep, Michael Wolf is our architect.
I want to say that you know, when you do a building like this, it's yours as the architect, and then but you know it's theirs, and so sometimes it's very painful when they take possession and really make it theirs. But in this case, they did a great job. The furniture, you know, their color selections and so forth. So it wasn't just the people they had helping. It was them.
Beautiful.
Okay, my name is Derrin Williams, and my wife Andra and Kennedy are a part of this project too. Actually, a big part of the project. We're in Northeast Portland, off 66th Street, in Roseway neighborhood. So we bought this house a couple years ago, knowing we could buy a smaller, 900 square foot upstairs. We had a fully open basement, huge basement. We could convert that to a few bedrooms and a bath as our family grows. So once the whole permit fees and SDC fees were lowered, we decided to run with it. Originally hired a contractor. That didn't work out from a cost perspective, and we just decided to jump into being a general contractor. And had some plans drawn up. The permit process was amazing, and then we just ran with a lot of soundproofing. Put a lot of effort into soundproofing the space from the upstairs, because really there's only 8 inches of space between the upstairs and downstairs. And it's obviously an investment. We used our savings, and we look at this space as an investment for retirement, college fund, whatever, in the future. So.
Yeah, so if you're thinking about building an ADU, I'd recommend starting, go to a website that me and a couple other people are helping to edit, and that's called accessorydwellings.org. And on that site you'll find examples of ADUs that are around, all around the country, but mostly in Portland right now, mostly because the 3 of us are in Portland and we're helping to run the site. That's a good place to start. There's one book called In-Laws, Outlaws, and Granny Flats, and that's the only book I'm aware of right now that's explicitly about ADUs. So if you're in the city of Portland, the city planning department, you can go in there and to ask them questions about whether an ADU would work on your lot. That's a good resource. And then I have a class called Building an ADU for Homeowners, and you can find out about that class on pdxadu.blogspot.com. So those are good places to start if you're interested in building an ADU, and particularly if you live in Portland, there's a lot of resources around the city that are available for people who are interested in building ADUs.